Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. So I have done something that could potentially be a little stupid, but it could be really fun, and it's something that I feel like if given the opportunity, I would probably continue to do in the future. I bought a box of figures with almost no knowledge of what's inside. I found it on eBay, I think it was. Yes, eBay. And it's been sitting here now for like a week or two, and I haven't opened it yet because I just haven't had time. So I'm going to open it now with you guys. I actually just unsealed the box and cut it open so that we can bring things in and take a look at it. But basically what happened was I spotted a listing on eBay that had a figure that I like. It was just a box that it was showing, and you could see that there was a lot of stuff inside, but you couldn't really see what was inside. But there was one figure that I saw on top that I knew was a pretty good figure and was a fairly valuable figure. And the price of the box was, I think, about $25. And I knew that the figure itself that I could see on the top of the box was actually more valuable than that. So it was actually a pretty cheap price for said figure that I thought, well, I might as well buy it because I really wanted this figure for a long time. And I could potentially get some more fun stuff that I'm just unaware of is inside the box. So either way, it's not like I'm really losing out because I got the figure that I really wanted. And then there's some other random stuff in here that we'll take a look at right now that I just don't know, again, what is inside this box. So let's start bringing stuff in. So straight away, we've got a very cheap looking Stegosaurus figure. And I feel like this may be a trend with this box, because looking at the top of the box, it looks like there's a lot of these kind of figures in here. So I may not get the greatest deal in my YouTube history here, my dinosaur collecting history, as far as this box goes, but it's a pretty fun looking Stegosaurus. I mean, as far as like a vintage style Stegosaurus goes, it definitely isn't bad. I feel like it's fairly nice looking as far as the paint scheme goes, because I love green with red plates. I've said that a ton of times when it comes to Stegosaurus. It's always been a very appealing look to me, but it's not the best figure, but it's not terrible either. Could use a repaint, but at the same time, it's still pretty fun. I don't know who actually makes the figure, or if it even says that. There's some kind of gook on the underside of this. Whoops, I'm upside down. So it just says that it was made in 2000, and it's a Stegosaurus made in China, and it has some other stuff there. I can't really tell what exactly is going on, so I don't know who makes it. Maybe you guys can tell me. And then we've got another of these kind of cheap figures. This time it's a Pachycephalosaurus, and again, these guys aren't that bad. Like, it looks okay. I mean, it's got some decent detailing to it, not the best paint application for sure, and certainly looks like a cheap toy. But I feel like with the sculpt being kind of decent, it has potential, if it were repainted, to look like a pretty fun interpretation of a vintage style Pachycephalosaurus. And then we've got something that's actually really cool. It appears as though there are some animal figures. Again, we've got like some gook or something on the side. We'll have to clean these guys off at some point, but we've obviously got a rhino here, and it has a very nice strong feel to it. So I'm thinking it's potentially it's a Schleich figure. Okay, so we've got a Schleich from 2001 rhino included in here, and I'm definitely a fan of Schleich's animals. I think they actually do a much better job on their animals than they do on their prehistoric animals, but this is a really beautiful looking rhino, and I'm loving the animals from Safari, Collect Day, Schleich, all of these companies, and PNSO actually. I've been trying to buy more modern day animal figures as time goes on, so it's nice to be able to get some every once in a while in these random boxes, including animals with prehistoric animals. And then we've actually got another, potentially some sort of a female lion or something. I don't know who makes this one either. So I think this one is actually Papo. I'm pretty sure I see Papo right there in the inside of the thigh back there. This far leg right there appears to have Papo written on it, so that's pretty fun to get a Papo figure. This one has some like paint on it or something that has been drawn on it, so it's not in the best shape, but it could probably be cleaned up pretty easily. And then we've also got this one. So there definitely appears to be, for one thing, a strong love of cats included in this box. Wild, large cats, of course, but also a lot of animal figures in general, it seems. A lot more than I was expecting. I didn't really see so many in the initial listing, but this one doesn't actually have a brand name to it, so I really don't know who makes this one at all, but it's actually a really nice looking figure for sure. Definitely a fun addition to the box, but I'm completely unfamiliar with who makes it. And then we've got another one of those cheap kind of dinosaur figures that we see from time to time. This one is obviously a Dilophosaurus, but he's not a good one. He doesn't even have teeth, and he's just really cheaply made. But he's still in the box, so I of course would have to show you guys what's in here. Not the best Dilophosaurus for sure. And then we've got a bear in here as well, and it's another Schleich figure. So we've got another Schleich modern day animal with a really nice looking bear. Definitely not in the best shape as far as the paintwork goes, but it's not terrible either. He just has some paint chips and stuff on him. But definitely loving the amount of animals in here. I love the inclusion of modern animals with dinosaurs and stuff in here. And the funny thing is, the figure that I know is valuable enough for me to purchase this box isn't even a dinosaur, but it is a prehistoric animal. And then we have this Velociraptor. I used to have this guy when I was a kid, and I actually had quite a few of them, and I think there's like a larger one that goes with them too. I remember having the entire set when I was younger. He's a really ugly looking Velociraptor, but still, just taking me straight back to my childhood. Very nostalgic figure as far as this one goes, because again, I absolutely recall having this figure when I was a kid and playing with it a lot. I believe the year was, yes, 1993 there it states on the underside, so he's been out for a very long time. Horribly ugly looking figure, but still fun. Then we have a sauropod. I guess it would be an Apatosaurus, which the sculpt isn't bad, actually. As far as like a vintage kind of an Apatosaurus goes, he's pretty fun, but I think the fact that the paintwork is so messed up on it right now that you can't really tell that it looks pretty decent. And maybe, a future repaint will do this figure justice, or at least the sculpt. Unfortunately, we have that really bad seam in the mid area like we have most times with this type of figure, but the sculpt itself isn't terrible on that one. Oh, this one's a really fun one to have in here. So we've got a Playmates V-Rex. Did not in any way, shape, or form expect this one to be in there. I actually do have this figure already, and I think the one I have might be in a little bit better shape. I believe I reviewed it here on the channel, actually. This one definitely has a lot of paint scuffs and stuff to it, but also his tail is missing here at the end, but still pretty fun to have him in here, and it'll be fun to add another V-Rex to my collection. Any day I can add a V-Rex to my collection, it's a good day, so this was a pleasant surprise being in here. And then we've got a lion figure, another lion. So again, the love of the big cat continues in this box. This one's actually from Safari Ltd, so that's awesome. We've got quite a few different brands in here now, already having Schleich, Safari Ltd, and Papo included, and that is definitely a fun lion right there. I shouldn't have any type of a shortage of big cat figures in my collection after this unboxing. And actually, to show you that, we have an unfortunately injured version here. I'm thinking their animal dog potentially got a hold of this one, chewed off its tail as well as part of its arm, which is very unfortunate because it looks like it could have been a potentially fun figure. But I don't know who makes this. It is a jaguar, but I don't know who makes the figure at all. Another mystery to me, but I guess it doesn't really matter much since he's already half eaten. I guess some of these other big cats already got a hold of him. And then, surprise, surprise, we've got another one in here. This one is from Schleich, so we've got another Schleich animal figure, another big cat, and that's pretty cool as well. Lots of them, it seems, in here. And then we have ourselves one of the cheapest but kind of most fun interpretations of a vintage Parasaurolophus. I've seen this figure tons of times, but it is always fun to get another, and that scale detail actually looks really nice. This would be a fun figure to repaint and give a nice dark wash to, because the scale detail, I think, would just eat that dark wash up really nicely. Pretty highly detailed figure as well for being just a cheap plastic Parasaurolophus. Pretty fun figure, nothing, to write home about, but nothing to complain about either. Oh, wow, look at this one. This one's awesome. I did not have any idea that this one is in there. I think that this one would be a megatherium by Schleich. I believe I've seen this figure before. Yes, it is Schleich, and I'm pretty certain this is their megatherium. That is awesome. I did not have this figure at all. Also a very old and long discontinued figure. Unfortunately, the paint seems to be beat up a little bit, but at the same time, it's not in horrible shape, and considering its rarity, I'm pretty psyched that this guy was in there. That's a really shocking and really fun addition to this box. That one's definitely a really exciting addition. Then we also have another of these cheap plastic dinosaur figures, but it's a pretty fun looking, very old school looking Triceratops. He has like a very short, stubby look. He almost kind of reminds me of the Styracosaurus from Disney's Dinosaur with his overall body shape. But again, he's got some decent detailing to him for being just a, cheap plastic figure. Could be a fun repaint to include in a vintage diorama or something. He also kind of reminds me of like what a Triceratops would have looked like in Planet of Dinosaurs, if you've ever seen that movie from the 70s. Love that movie. And there's a Styracosaurus in there that kind of resembles this as far as like the pudgy, shorter body look to this Triceratops. So that guy's kind of cool. And we've got another big cat. So at this point, I can definitely tell you that whoever had owned this box prior was definitely fond of the big cat. And we've also got another Schleich. That's definitely a Schleich figure right there. So another pretty cool addition. Definitely helping to increase my modern day animal collection is this box. And this guy is a figure that we should mostly all be familiar with. This is a Safari Ltd Stegosaurus. No need to check on this one because I knew with complete confidence what this figure was. I do already have it, but I've always been a big fan of this Stegosaurus. The only thing I wish is the tail would have been a little longer on him, but I really like the overall appearance to the figure, and I've definitely been a very large fan of this look of Stegosaurus for a very long time. So this guy's definitely a fun addition to my collection, even though I have one. I think I only have actually one, maybe two, but I'm really happy to have another. And then we've got a very crazy looking orangutan, and look at this guy. He looks really cool, but very strange. Definitely don't know this figure. I have never seen this one before. So this one is from Playvisions. I am not familiar with that company at all, and don't know much about this figure, but he's pretty cool and definitely one that I don't have for sure. And then we've got this gigantic looking figure in here, which apparently, according to what I just saw on the underside of it as I was bringing in, I believe it states this is an Ornitholestes, which, well, it's upside down, but you can definitely see it is an Ornitholestes. And something else exciting that we saw on the underside there is that this is an Imperial figure. So not the best interpretation of an Ornitholestes, but still a pretty fun, very old school dinosaur toy that I'm happy to add to my collection. I think I do already have it, but if I don't, then that's awesome. And if I do, it's probably a fun thing to have a second of. And then we have ourselves a nice old school Safari Ltd Carcharodontosaurus, which I love this figure. He's clearly in no way, shape, or form an accurate interpretation of a Carcharodontosaurus, but definitely a figure that I'm happy to include probably my third or fourth into my collection because it's something that definitely has a nice place in dinosaur figure history. And being an older Safari Ltd figure, there's always a nice, strong collectability standpoint to these figures. And then we have another random cheap figure with a Euoplocephalus, and he looks okay-ish. I mean, certainly not the most appealing figure in the world, but he fits the same style of cheap dino toys that we've had a pretty strong abundance of in here already. But definitely not a great figure, but not the worst thing ever. And the big cats, yes, they keep coming. We have even more in here as we now have another Schleich figure. So tons of these guys, and there's actually more I can see already in here, as we've got another of these, and we actually already have this one. He's actually right here. This one was in here prior to this, so there's two of that one. And then we have a very interesting figure that I don't know if I've ever seen before. It's an old Papo bear. I think it's a Papo anyway. Yes, I did see Papo there on the bottom of the foot right before I brought this one in. But I don't know this figure at all. I'm really unfamiliar with that one, but he's a really cool looking figure. A pretty fun addition, even if I'm severely unfamiliar with the figure. And then we have the old Schleich baby mammoth, and that's actually pretty fun too. I did not have this. I don't think I actually have any Schleich mammoth figures at all, so this is definitely a fun one to be included to kind of break into my collection, a Schleich mammoth, even if it is only a baby. Then we have a super crazy rubber T-Rex, just like the goofiest, most ridiculous looking thing ever. He's really squishy and stuff, but certainly not any type of a figure that I'm excited about, but he is in here regardless. And then we have another big cat. Oh, shocker there. This one is... Oh, this is actually a Bullyland figure. That's pretty awesome. I don't have any Bullyland animal figures, I don't think, or at least nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Nothing that's, a modern day animal. Everything I have from them would be prehistoric, so that's really sweet right there. And then wouldn't you know it, there is a third of this Schleich figure. That is 3 of them now over here that we have included, so they really liked that sculpt apparently. And then another Schleich. That's what I believe this one is. Yes, it is another Schleich figure. So we've got yet another Schleich big cat. I don't know if that one was one that's a repeat or not because we've had so many so far in this box. We've also got another of these weird sauropod figures that we had already introduced in from this box earlier. And then we've got what is potentially a Torosaurus or a Triceratops, I don't know, but we didn't have this one in the box earlier, but he's a pretty fun figure. I actually quite like the overall pose and appearance to this one, but another cheap figure that I'm unfamiliar with the brand name of. And then we have another figure here that I've never seen before, a gorilla of some kind, which, let's see here what the underside states. This is a Playvisions, actually, so this is the same one as the orangutan that we had seen earlier. And I don't know, again, anything about that company, so that's pretty interesting to have included. And there's also another of that sort of Torosaurus Triceratops guy back there. We'll just set him up there. We're running out of room here on the review station. We've also got yet another lion, and this one is a Schleich figure. I can see that straight away. So we've got a Schleich lion as well. We are really running out of room now. And then we've got another tiger. So we've got tons of big cats in this one. I believe that's actually the final big cat figure. In fact, we're just about done the entire box, as we also have a Safari Ltd Velociraptor. I love this figure, I always have, even though he's obviously not the most, realistic and current up-to-date interpretation of a Velociraptor. I've always loved this particular version, and I've wanted to repaint one for a long time, and this one's at horrid shape, so that looks to be my guy as far as repainting one goes. We also have this one, which is a fairly common cheap dinosaur figure. I always wondered if he was meant to be a Carnotaurus. He looks like he should be a Carnotaurus, but there's no species name that I can see on the underside, and he obviously doesn't look like a Carnotaurus anywhere else minus the horns up here, but interesting figure that I most certainly have one of somewhere. And then the second to last is a really interesting and again cheap dinosaur figure version of a Dimetrodon, which now we have no room whatsoever up here. They're just taking everything out, but you can see a really fun looking Dimetrodon right there. And the final figure, which is actually the one that I've just held off here until the end to show you because it was the one that I bought the entire box knowing it was a valuable figure. It is the Schleich Glyptodon, which may not be that, incredible to some, but it's a figure that I've always wanted. For a very long time, I have wanted to get a hold of this and add it to my collection because there are so few figures out there of the species, and definitely not very many that look as nice as this one does. I feel like it's a great interpretation of the species and a beautiful figure that, again, I've wanted to add to my collection for a long time. So as soon as I spotted this one, it was actually on the top of the box, so I knew straight away that the lot would be worth the price specifically for this figure. So anything that I got past this one was basically just a fun extra. And as you can see, there is actually a plethora of figures that were included. I wasn't prepared for actually how many were in this box. I didn't know that there was this many, and I will say that without question this box was well worth a purchase, even though I had no idea really what was in it besides the Glyptodon. It's awesome to have so many figures, even though a lot of them are kind of cheaper, but I did get a ton of really cool animal figures from both Schleich, Bullyland, Papo, and Safari Ltd, and even some Playvisions animal figures in here as well. So lots lots of really fun stuff. Definitely happy with this purchase. Now actually having everything out and taking a look at it, I can say that this was without question a great purchase, and I'm really happy with what I have received in this box. So make sure if you enjoyed this video that you give it a thumbs up. Also make sure you comment down below if there's anything that you were interested in that you would like to see get a review here on the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.